Hello, welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. You're listening to Home of Going Bold. Can you believe it? We're going bold today, and I love it here on the newstreamingnetwork.com. Newstreamingnetwork.com is the home of Going Bold Media and Going Solo Media and WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, which is our radio station. A lot of people don't know that. We do have an internet radio station, which is where we started at the very beginning. So I want to thank you all for listening to us today. You are watching the show Link to Expert Good Reads Author's Corner with my good friend here, Joanne Weiland. I am Cece Shatz, fondly called the Doyen of Relationship Building, and I am excited to be here with you today because this is one of my very favorites. I love the author's good reads, connecting with those individuals who are just so outstanding and being so creative and really a wealth of knowledge. So it's just an honor to have authors with us. So let's move right on. Joanne, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then please introduce our guest.
Sure. Joanne Weiland, Why Land When You Can Fly, and I'm the founder of LinktoEXPERT. The reason I created LinktoEXPERT many years ago, about 20 some years ago, was because of the fact that we all are great at something. We have such talents, but none of us have talents in everything. So it's so important to do things like we're doing today with the Good Reads Author's Corner because of the fact that we're going to learn from Laura Doman today about marketing and the importance of it. And it's just always interesting how things shift and change. So we're so anxious to hear her current up-to-date information about marketing. So let's welcome Laura.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Laura. We're so glad you're here. I mean, she has 29 years as an actor. And I just always wonder when people do something so incredibly, like they keep perfecting it, like for 29 years. What even started you becoming an actor? Were your parents, in show business? Or because I mean, she's done so many TV shows, commercials, films. I mean, hundreds of them, as well as even working in industries and helping them promote their particular brand. So yes, I just think it's fascinating that you've done this, and I wanted to know why, what started it.
Okay. Well, actually, my entire life I've always straddled the business, the corporate world, and then the entertainment world. As a little kid, I was the one that was putting on fairy tales for my parents until they kind of walked away. The theater kid, all that. But I was also very practical. And no, my parents are as far from the entertainment industry as you could possibly get. In fact, they saw what I was interested in, and I used to kind of poke them and just say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to college and be an actress." Oh, no. And I had other interests as well. So I kept it on the side while I had a corporate career, which was naturally IT, corporate sales, tech, right? Just like
Yes.
acting. But I always did stuff on the side. And especially when I was able to be in sales, I had a flexible schedule. So I started building up a lot of professional experience here and there. And then after a while, I dived in more full time. And I'm just having a blast because that little kid inside of me is just going, yes.
But all those years in corporate sales, I just imagine you being on stage a lot of times, whether it's even in front of a committee or a board or even an audience of, several hundred. Did that also help you with your acting?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I guess I'm a bit of an introverted ham. I love being in front of people. And to be able to do that professionally, even when I was like 23, 24 years old, I was writing some technical papers that would be presented in our engineering scientific journals, but they would also get me to conferences because I love the idea of conferences and networking, but mostly I got to be a speaker on stage and then see
Yeah.
my papers published. And that just checked off a few boxes for me. So when I got into the sales side rather than the pure tech, that gave me a stage every day. And the way I saw it was every sales call was like an audition, and every sale was a booking. The difference is you get paid for those auditions. It doesn't
That's
work that
true.
way in the entertainment industry.
That's true. And I imagine then with the acting side, especially, you probably work with casting directors and different people to help you. It's not like you do the whole, you
No,
know,
no.
because people, I don't think really realize that. They think sometimes they have to do it all, but you can also work with a team of people that also can help you, agents and stuff like that. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. And there are all kinds of flavors. First of all, you have the stage acting. Then you have on screen and you have voiceover. And, I've played in all of them. But mostly now these days, I just do the on film, the on camera work, and voiceover. And they are very different. So, for example, I've got agents representing me for those areas. And, they're wonderful. And that's where I get work. Like I just did a commercial shoot that just yesterday, and that came through an agent. But with voiceover, a lot of that work you also are going to find on your own. Yes, I have booked work through my agent. And recently I had the wonderful pleasure of being at Tyler Perry Studios here in Atlanta and being the voice for a television show, which was very exciting. Um,
Yes.
with voiceover, you pretty much got to do everything. And that's where my business background helps. You got to do your own lead generation, which is not as much fun. You've got to do your marketing and your promotion and so forth and so on. So it's one of those answers where it depends.
Wow.
Well,
Can
but I
you
think
give us,
that's key.
I'm sorry, I was just saying, can you give us a couple tips on how to find an agent? Because I don't think we've ever talked
Oh,
about that before.
absolutely. In fact, I have got a blog on my website, Laura Doman, and I
Mhm.
even wrote an article that I think has been published a couple different places on how to get started in an acting career the smart way, because there are a lot of scammers out there. I
Mhm.
just dealt with one on the voiceover world yesterday that, you know what the red flags are and you got to be careful. So, in terms of tips, the first thing I will tell anybody, doesn't matter whether you're doing stage, screen, or voiceover, train. And that means that you need to get professional training. If anybody is going to be telling you, oh, yeah, take 6 easy lessons, you're going to make six figures, run. And especially if you have children or teenagers, you're going to be very susceptible because you're going to want to do something for your kids, but
Mhm.
the scammers out there know it. So get the training. And before you dive too much into it, make sure it's something you like to do. The other thing is to be aware of the competition in the industry and the harsh reality. A very small percentage, especially of on screen actors, are going to be making a full time living at it. It can happen, but it usually takes 10, 20, or more years, or it may never happen at all. There are always
Mhm.
those one hit wonders or people that are discovered, but that's really more of an anomaly. In voiceover, there is a much greater chance of being able to pull in six figures. But again, it takes time and investment because you have to be prepared for whatever career, whether it's full time or part time, you're getting into. For example, with voiceover, you need training, you need professional demos, not one you throw together yourself.
Mhm.
These days, you need a home studio. You need to invest in the technology. You need to be perhaps on some casting sites, and you need to do your marketing. So that is an ongoing thing. When you're doing on camera acting, there's less of an upfront type of investment. You still need your headshots. You're going to want to work on a number of projects. And on camera, the easiest way to get started is like with student films. They're not going to pay anything, but if you get a good quality one, you'll get footage because you got to build up a demo reel of real projects.
Mhm.
Once you're doing this work and you're finding it on your own, going to film schools, talking to people, then maybe you can find an agent. The idea with agents is that they want to bring on people to their roster that's not already well represented by six other people and that
Mhm.
somebody's going to make money. And the harsh reality is if you're not booking, maybe over time they're going to drop you. That's what the big ones do. The smaller local regional ones, they understand it takes time. But the other thing I would say is, especially with on camera acting, start in
Mhm.
your own backyard. I mean, don't think
Mhm.
that you're going to go right to LA because there are a lot of people there that have come to Atlanta because this is where it's happening, people. The film and
Mhm.
TV industry is huge. And we're
When
also
did,
a work state, which means you could do a lot of non union work.
Right.
right. And you also even mentioned just earlier that, with the Tyler Perry, I mean, right there for you anyways, I know you've worked there before and you told me, I mean, you can drive there, I think in 30 minutes or
Oh,
something. So it's
let's,
important to have, in your case, that right in your background, a backyard.
yeah,
And, like you said, because you do really want to build up your local first, your business first.
And you build relationships. And I have gotten referrals from people I've worked with before for other projects with them or with other folks. There have been cross referrals between talent. Like I have a friend who is only SAG union, and she had an opportunity for an on camera spokesperson thing, but they wanted non union. She suggested me, you know, and you pay the favor forward. And that's if somebody's not going through an agency, because the agency will cover everything. But
Right.
relationships are important, and you've got to be respectful of boundaries. Nobody wants to be stalked by a desperate actor. And by the way, desperation is the first thing they can tell in your auditions or in your approach. You got to be a real person. So what I try to do too, especially on LinkedIn where I'm very active, is to kind of show what I can do and offer things to other people, because I've taken a lot of the same skills, the on-camera knowledge and my business expertise, and I'm offering how to get better on camera yourself if you're not an actor. Because face it, videos are everywhere. Zoom presentations, online interviews like this. I mean, a lot of people are uncomfortable. I've got a sister who's an accountant. She may or may not be watching this right now, but she is so uncomfortable being on camera that when she's in a Zoom presentation as an attendee, she turns her camera off. And she's not alone. I've talked to executives on how to show an executive presence online. And the ironic thing is, since the pandemic, there are a lot of people who have forgotten how to be in person, which is really important skill. But you have to know how to reach out to your clients. Have to know how to present yourself, and not just externally, but also internally to your own employees, because people want to know who you are. It's that whole like, know, trust, and building credibility.
Right.
Well, I remember one of the classes I took of yours that when we were talking more about your video communications coaching.
Yes.
And I think what you just hit on is really key, because I think myself anyway, before I went to your class, that I thought that it was more because people like me that weren't used to being on camera. And I went to an interview or whatever back in the day before we were all doing it all online, and you freeze. All of a sudden you're just like, you don't remember what you were going to say, or you stumble and then you can't remember where should I pick up or whatever. But when you explained what you just said a minute ago, it's so true. I mean, to do it internally in your company as well as externally. And there's so many aspects of communication that you really don't realize it, but you have to be prepared, because a lot of times it happens on the fly versus a planned presentation.
Absolutely. I've got all these little YouTube videos, really short ones, no more than a minute each, that will tell you what to do in terms of equipment. Like, for example, if you're traveling, what do you do? How do you use a window? I have some ring lights up here just to throw extra light on me. What about sound? What if you are a big hand talker and you can't go gesturing like that? It's just totally distracting. Or maybe you use filler words like, maybe you just need to breathe. What do you wear? How do you get dynamic? How do you bring people in? Because you got to stop that video scroll in the first few seconds or they're gone.
Right.
So, and I love working with people on all that, because I understand you got a message, you got to get it across, and you got to get people interested.
Well, I loved it. Another class I took of yours was about LinkedIn. And when you talked about it being, the digital cocktail party, and I loved it because I think a lot of people don't realize how blessed we are to have things like LinkedIn, LinkedIn and other platforms, but meaning that it's not just going out to a networking meeting anymore. We have to do it, like you said, a digital cocktail party online, because of the fact that people are listening, watching, checking you out in so many places that you don't even know. And if you don't have presence, because that day I know you told us that we should actually post something 2 or 3 times a week, because you need to be top of mind too. And so that's part of the marketing that you're talking about. And I know today we're going to talk mainly on your book, but I think this is all important because I believe from reading your book that, these things are so important. And I think we should start with, just for an example, the most amazing marketing book ever, that I thought it was so cool that you were invited to be part of it. And, because of the fact that I mean, Mark is, it's Mark Schaefer, right? I'm trying to
Mark
remember.
Schaefer, he's an
Yes,
amazing
yes.
marketing futurist and strategist. Yes.
And when he said that he wanted to pick the best, and you were picked, I mean, how did that make you feel when you were
Oh,
invited to be part of his anthology book?
well, let me just kind of tell you. First of all, this is the book. This is my own personal copy that we had taken to the book launch last year. So I've got all kinds of autographs in there from the other authors, and I met people from all over the world. But let me just kind of give you a little bit of background. First of all, for anybody who would really like to know how to use LinkedIn and meet some amazing LinkedIn coaches, because if you want to work with them, I have got a list of wonderful people. Check out Espresso Plus with John Espirian. And it is an amazing group on LinkedIn that you should check out. And through John, that's how I met Mark Schaefer. Mark Schaefer is actually his mentor, as he was telling us. And I was really curious because Mark was going to explore the metaverse, Web3 and cryptocurrency. And this all began, I don't know, a year, 2.5 years ago, something like that. And it attracted a lot of people. And I thought, well, I'd like to learn more about it. I'm always interested in learning more. And hey, it was tech. That harkens back to my roots. I'm in. And lo and behold, I'm meeting these incredible people who know so much about media and communications, marketing and technology from all over the world. Mark himself has written, I don't know how many bestseller books, and he goes around and he is a keynote speaker everywhere. So if you don't know Mark Schaefer, then you definitely need to check him out. But anyways, he had decided that he wanted to create a collaborative book to give back to all the people who've been with him, new like me, and those who've been around for a while. And he said, I want to really focus on the latest and greatest in marketing, but I want to make it very to the point, very practical. And he said, these are all the list of topics, and included like strategy fundamentals, content strategy, social media, marketing standards to follow, and then the future of marketing. And he had a list of topics. And so I was able to throw my hat in the ring. And I said, look, the one that I think I could really talk about would be videos and YouTube, because I've been working with both of them. And I was very lucky to be told, yeah, you got the green light, go ahead. So each of us, and we were given a framework of about 10 points, our best points and tips to give forward. Because the idea is that this is supposed to be a resource for people. You want to know how to do, memorable and intentional posts on Instagram. Let me see what my friend Valentina has to say. Boom, 10 posts, 10 ideas. And so we created, I think it was a 1,500 word limit, very succinct, which was very carefully reviewed and edited. And after a few processes, then it would be accepted. And then we got to make an audio version, which is like, I'm real comfortable with that. So we have an audiobook version, and then it was also published on Kindle. And so we have people from all over the world. And I'm just telling you, I could just tell you about some of the topics and the people, but I am really in awe of just about all of them. No, all of them.
I love it. I think it's so important to have reference books like that. I mean, because things do change all the time, or you don't remember, or you don't need that particular topic at the time. But next month you might also get invited to, go to an actual digital cocktail party on LinkedIn with one of the groups or whatever. You could quick study that. And since yours was video, though, I really was curious on your opinion on how important is video these days in your marketing and daily life, in your business.
Well, I would say that it's absolutely critical, and not just any video, but short videos that are in the portrait form, the vertical ones that you might see as stories and such. And that's because we've all been trained to have less and less time to pay attention to anything. And these decisions are being made very quickly. Now, you can still create the long form horizontal videos, but just be aware, you really have to grab and keep people's attention, because if you want your videos to be shown, the analytics are going to see how many views it has and how many times people are going to come back to it and how long they're going to keep with you and so forth. Now, video is not the only way to get your stuff across. You should also be having, for example, on LinkedIn, posts, and you could be having graphics. You can use LinkedIn Lives and audio events. I mean, There are so many different things you can use. But across the spectrum, videos are what most people will watch. And one tip I would give you, besides keeping it short, is to come out strong. So in other words, there's no hemming and hawing. Hi, my name is Laura, and I'm going to, nope, they're gone. Instead, it will be like, do you need to stop fidgeting on video? Okay, maybe I do. How do I do it? And you launch right into that. And then the other thing is just to be able to make sure that the lighting and the framing and the sound are good. And I highly recommend captioning. First of all, it opens it up to all the hearing impaired. And second of all these people who are scrolling through their videos when they're supposed to be in a meeting, they're not having the sound on. And this way they can catch what you're doing and saying, and they can see the whole thing or come back to it later.
It's so true. I remember when I read that from you about how even the different sizes of the video, depending on what type of video. So when you're doing your shorts, because I love your shorts, and it's more, the portrait versus the landscape. So there's, in your book, again, that's why they should get a copy, because it talks about things like this, because I don't think really people realize it. But, I do have one crazy question that I know, like you even give us examples of how many seconds you should be on
Yes.
different types of videos. Well, as you all know, anyway, people my age, commercials used to be, a minute or two. Then they went down to a minute for sure. Then they went down to like 45 seconds, then 30 seconds. Now they're really even down to 15 seconds, in my opinion. How much, how much less of time are we going to have? I mean, 5 seconds. And I actually have seen some that, that's why I even challenge myself to say what I want to say in 6 minutes or less. I mean, sorry, I meant 6 words or less.
Yes.
And it's really fascinating to try to think like that, because you really do, like you said, don't even say your name, just come out on the video with what you're going to talk about, because that's what they care about, because they don't even know who we are sometimes, or even if they do, they already know who we are. So they just want to hear what you're saying. But it's just, to me, it's just amazing how we're getting less and less time to say something impactful.
Oh, I'll tell you, Joanne, you are a perfect straight woman, because what I would say is that is exactly what one of my video series called Momisms is all about. And they average literally from about 4 to 10 seconds, sometimes only 4 or 5 seconds. That's all you
like
need.
What's in your purse? I love that one.
Yeah, and that one was with somebody else, so we had a little talk and we had our kids in it. But for anybody who doesn't know, is wondering what the heck is a momism. Have you ever gone into any of these gift shops when you're on vacation and you see the cocktail napkins and you see all of the towels and aprons and all that, and you got funny sayings and you go, oh, that's cute, ha ha ha. Maybe you buy them, maybe you don't. Well, for a few years I went in and I kind of wrote them all down, and then I started writing my own. And I'm an actor. Duh, I am going to perform it. And I create my own setting. I just shoot them on my camera, on my phone, and I bring in my ring lights and I just try to number different ways. And that's all I need. First of all, it gives some very short entertainment value, under 5 seconds. Number 2, it is like my commercial to say, yeah, I'm an actor. I do voiceover. And by the way, I also know how to use the camera, so I can help you with it. And I found, like, on LinkedIn, you see what does really well and what maybe doesn't. I have found that the best stuff is more personal. Now, that doesn't mean, because LinkedIn is a business site, you don't tie it to business. Yeah, you should. But you also have that little area, the post area above it, to explain it. So I usually try to time it. Or I just kind of make it my Monday momisms. You get a little bit of a chuckle to start your week, and that's it. But then the other thing you need to know is you got to tailor whatever content you want, even if it's only a 4-second video, for each of your social media channels. So I would position it differently on Instagram than I would on LinkedIn versus Facebook, or maybe Twitter, X, Threads. It's whatever you need. And it's very interesting to track what's popular across different social media channels. You can never tell. Something is goes viral on YouTube, and on Instagram, You never
Yeah, it is amazing how each platform is very different. I know we used to always say, anything that has to do with, dogs or animals, is
Oh
always
yeah.
popular. Babies,
Oh yeah.
any of that, is always very popular. But when you're thinking about it, it's really being personal, isn't it? It's the more you can share
Yes.
about yourself,
Yes.
that you can connect with other people. That's what really is the driver. That's a
I
true driver. So I think if anyone's making any shorts or whatever, make it something that is personal that people can connect to.
I'm so glad you brought that up
Mhm.
because if you're just going to be wooden and if you're going to be purely business, people aren't going to care. Now, that doesn't mean you have to share your whole life, but put your
Mhm.
own personality into it. People want to deal with a human being. And
Mhm.
don't be afraid to show your foibles or admit mistakes. Or some of the most popular stuff is like, I really screwed up here. Let me tell you what I did, but this is how I fixed it. So,
Mhm.
yeah, you got to be human. There's too
And
many
being
robots
authentic.
out there.
Yes, and I think
Yeah.
you have to be authentic, because I think people can tell when you're fake. And,
Oh, yeah.
so, and that's why I think it's so important to stick with what you really do know, because of the fact that when you're pretending, that you're an expert. I mean, I represent lots of hundreds of experts, and one guy told me, just, put me on the list, kind of like your agents, for any presentation, because I can just look it up on the internet and come up with a
Regurgitate.
presentation. Emma says, no, you can't, because when they start asking you questions that you don't have any idea, that, gives you a bad reputation and me. So
Oh,
it's so true that I think you really have to be authentic and be open and honest and stick with what you know, because we all know something that other people don't know that we can share with the world,
mhm.
but don't just pretend you know everything.
No, no, no. And if I could just kind of say something up here about I mean,
Yes.
ChatGPT, Claude, others that are going to create content, especially if you're trying to write something, is great.
Hmm.
Use it as your assistant. Maybe just somebody to run ideas against, but please do not use their final product as your own. First of all, if you're using it for any kind of emails or messages, it's so obvious. And you got to personalize it, tailor it to your own message. And also, if you're going to be using it for any kind of voiceover, it might be fine as a placeholder. But remember, people want to connect with other human beings. And if you don't hear a voice that sounds human, that has emotion to it, you're whatever you're trying to do is probably not going to fly too well.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, absolutely. We're gonna have to take a quick break. The time has gone by so quickly. I love it. I'm having so much fun myself. I'm listening and learning, and I love it. Laura, you are the best. But everyone, please run out and get the most amazing book, the most amazing marketing book ever. And it is right. You can get it on Kindle. You can get it on Amazon. So
Yep.
please don't hesitate running out and getting it. And of course, you can reach Laura at and I'm going to spell her name for you out. Her website is Laura and then her last name DOMAN.com. So you can find all of her information right there. So make sure you do that. We're going to be right back. It's just going to be 30 seconds. So don't go very far because it's going to go very, very quickly. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. That went by very quickly. So we hope you stayed with us. You are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are the new streamingnetwork.com, home of Going Bold and Going Solo. The show today is the Link to Expert Good Reads Author's Corner. We are just, headstrong into this wonderful guest here today, and we are so honored to have her. And so I have my good friend Joanne with me. I am Cece Shatz, and let's just keep on moving because we are learning a lot regarding the most amazing marketing book ever. Oh, Laura, you are just fabulous. So we want to thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. I'm
and,
delighted to be here.
and I heard a rumor actually that your book, The Most Amazing Marketing Book Ever, was written by AI. So picking up on the
Oh,
topic we just left, I mean, that somebody, I don't know where I read it or whatever, but that they thought that because it's so good, informative, that it had to be done by AI.
Yes, I know. I posted that, and so did some of the other authors, and we were laughing because this was actually all written and submitted long before ChatGPT really became a thing. I mean, and it's just that we were very organized and we were very practical. But there are always some detractors out there. But
Well,
no, this was 100%. Let me just say one thing. It was written 100% by real human beings, and even the artwork was generative AI. Frank Prendergast, one of our authors, is amazing with AI and has been doing some imagery work. And he still made sure the human element was in there. He looked at what he liked, he sent it to everybody, picked some of your top ones, and that's how we got it. So tools are good, but human, not robot.
But I also think what you mentioned earlier about the book, that you actually had a process to
Oh,
be able
yes.
to create the book. And I think people don't realize that I've been blessed to be in 3 anthology books too, and they all 3 became international bestsellers. But it was because we had the process, we had the writing coaches, we had the editors, we had the publishers, and
Mhm.
everybody had their part, and we knew the format of the procedure ahead of time before we committed, and we had to make the deadlines. And I really think people don't realize the value of having systems and processes and procedures too when you're creating like this a product. And after you even create this book, the book yourself or in the anthology, you can create so many other products. At Link to Expert, we have 181 streams of income, but they usually are, you have to start with being an author of a book to be able to create the other 180 streams of income. And I think that people don't realize that, but you have to discipline yourself. And I really think that's why people did think it was AI, because it was so good but they didn't realize the work of the human that had to go behind it. And also, like you, about your 29 years experience, that all adds up to come to today, what we're talking about with video and LinkedIn and different things that help us with our marketing. But it's not like you can just start today and know everything about your particular industry or your particular area of expertise. So my hat goes off to you and Mark for being disciplined and actually having those processes and actually meeting those deadlines to be able to bring this book to market.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Mark and his editors, people who were running this, made it so easy for those of us who just had to worry about our chapter. Because, I'm thinking about, hey, I got a lot of information, I got all my stuff, I might create my own book. But whoa, there is so much to do. And then, of course, the promotion and the marketing and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I'm very fortunate. Just like I had done a chapter from called Coronavirus. It was all about the first days of the pandemic in the first few weeks
Wow.
there in New York. And there were people who were first responders who were writing their stories, and then they asked different voice actors to narrate them.
Oh,
So, that was one of those things that I got to do. Again,
good.
I just had to do my part. I didn't have to do everything
Yeah.
because
Well,
there's
that's
lots
why
of.
we always say that too. Collaboration is the key. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
collaborating is
looking at
simple,
it from a
easy, prosperous,
marketing
and fun.
standpoint, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
marketing standpoint, you've got several people within the book, then you have marketing to their people, right? And
Oh,
so they're
yes.
all marketing. So if you look at a collaboration type of book, I'm in one myself, and so you do that. It's a no brainer. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like being on the show. So you be on the show, and you're marketing it to your people. We market it to our people. It's a win. It's all win. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then there were some wonderful podcasters who had interviewed like 3 or 4 different authors at a time leading up to the publishing of the book.
Hmm.
So, and we all kind of support each other. But you're right, 36 people, yep, 36 channels.
Right.
Smart move.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's wonderful. So yeah, I mean, anything else you'd like to share with the audience? Because we're going to have to probably wrap up here pretty
Oh, of
soon.
course. Yes. If you were to follow the links, I am offering a couple of freebies if you're
Mhm.
interested in learning some more from me or working with me one on one. Number one, if you go to my website and you'll see under there's another tab in there called Consult. You can download my top 10 tips, not necessarily the same ones in the book, but excellent tips for getting better and more comfortable on camera yourself. And if you have a question or you're not sure about something, schedule a free 15-minute time with me, and we'll just talk a little more about it and, maybe see if I can help you right then and there, or if it's something to pursue.
Yeah, I think that's awesome because it truly is going to help individuals that are wanting to do it. I talk to all the time to podcasters that are looking to go into the video aspect of it, and they're all a little bit insecure about, because I know I've been there. I started out in the radio and then moved to the podcasting, and then now here to the TV and video. And so they're all feeling a little bit insecure about being on the camera, and I totally get it. And so I think it's great to be able to have some tips to be able to be comfortable. And that's truly how you can be effective, I think, is the more comfortable you get, the more effective you will be. So thank you for sharing that with our audience today. So it's the top 10 tips for becoming more comfortable and effective on camera. So just go to Laura, it's LauraDoman.com, and then it's / I think consulting. But move around when you're on her website because she's got a lot of information, good information there. So move around in it, click some of the tabs and different things and explore, because I think you'll be surprised at what you might learn there. So thank you so much. That is awesome.
One thing I might just throw in there is I might have changed the name of the tab to Consult. So if it doesn't go with consulting, just go to the main website and you'll find it.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to do that. And then, of course, you've got your YouTube channel, too. Yes. You've got your YouTube channel, and you've got various things like you have mentioned on there. You do a lot of shorts and reels, things like that. And, but yeah, reach out and connect for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And she does a lot on LinkedIn, too. And I know you always say those are the two, Google and YouTube are the two largest search engines. And so those are the ones we should focus on the most. And, like you with the collaboration, when you were just talking about that with the book, I think that's just, people don't realize the value of collaboration. But we always say collaboration is simple, easy, prosperous, and fun. And it really can be. Like, look at what you did with the book. And that's actually how we became international bestsellers, because like Cece just said, we had all these different authors that that they either lived in different countries or they knew other people in different countries. And that is huge, because now we had 36 people promoting it instead of just yourself. So that is why we even created LinktoEXPERT, because these hundreds of experts that are in one place, we actually get exposed to each other's people. So whatever you're doing is going out to all the other people's people. You don't get each other's contacts, but we did this on purpose because we knew nobody can know everybody, and nobody even needs the same type of person all the time. They need different people like you, like voiceovers, to do a project or whatever, but they might not need that every week. But that's why we love to be able to promote each other as often as we do, which is every week and many times every day. So it really, really makes a difference from collaboration. So thanks for sharing that. And I really do appreciate you sharing your feedback about the video in the book, because I really think it's just one, what is it, a 35 or some authors were in your book too? And so it's really amazing how it's all in one book. So I think everybody should grab a copy.
Yeah. I wanted to say one more thing about the book is that, when we're talking about the most amazing marketing book ever, the reality is we have to market, right? And we have to start putting a plan together. And a lot of times that keeps shifting as technology shifts, as our business starts growing, we start moving and things like that. And I think your particular book, Laura, it has a lot of elements in it that we can use. It's like almost like an everyday business guide type of thing. And so I think marketing is the key. We don't think about marketing when we start a business a lot of times. We start with our expertise, right? Oh, we're good at doing this. We're going to go out and start this business, and we're going to do that. Well, you don't really think about your marketing plan. You've got to put a marketing plan together, and you've got to start thinking about how you're going to be doing that. And you have to be really quick to be able to change with the fads, change with the, what happens in technology and things like that. So your book has all of these various different elements that those that are interested in marketing and putting things out there, that can actually go and use it as a reference guide. So I think people need to understand that it's not just you pick up a book and read it and you put it down. It's something that you're going to maybe come back to. You want to keep it on your bookshelf. You can grab it when you start thinking about something else you're wanting to do, and you can look up, oh yeah, there's that chapter about da 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 this. And now we're focusing a lot today on video, because video is the way of the future. I mean, it's where we're at now. So all the podcasters are now turning to video, and so we're going to that. We're turning to TV. We're on our Roku. Those are out there listening, please download our Roku app and join us on Roku. We love that. We'd love to be able to be on the mainstream streaming TV. But yeah, your book is outstanding, and I think those that need to know that your chapter is really a wonderful chapter in which to read. I think for today, as we're growing in technology today, moving towards the video. But there's also many elements within that book that will help them. So it's definitely a reference guide to those that want to be in business and want to get out there in social media and all of that. So thank you, Laura, for bringing this to us and having this on the show today. It's just wonderful to have you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're going to have to wrap it up, everyone. I want to just share one more time her website. Of course, you can just go to her website, all of the information there. It's LauraDoman.com. So you want to do that. And make sure you check out the free gift she's giving you, the 10 tips to becoming more comfortable and effective on camera. Just poke around on the website, you'll find it. But it's a free gift, and so you don't want to miss out on that. Anytime we get something free, we want to be very appreciative of that, and it's wonderful to have it. Again, the book is the most amazing marketing book ever, so go to Kindle or Amazon.com and get it. You guys are listening to Link to Expert Good Reads Author's Corner. You're on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are on the new streaming network.com, home of Going Bold and Going Solo. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.